Some of you may know I don't have much of a voice. If you don't understand something, just put it in the chat. I'll be glad to repeat it. Wow, 22 people online. I want to say thank you for joining. It really is flattering that everybody wanted to come and see about listings. I guess listings is the name of the game right now. So we've got some agents in the office, one of which has a listing appointment coming up. And so anyway, so I'm just glad to be here. I was hoping I'd have a lot more attendance in-house, but I understand the rain has kept us all at home today, or, at work, wherever you are. It's okay, you're here. But I had some documents, really more specifically, that I wanted to share with you guys. And whenever you come back to the office, feel free to pick up some packets, because Deanna printed out enough packets for everyone. All right, so listing appointments, listing preparation. I thought about this number of ways on how I can present this class, because all of our listing appointments are very unique. It could be meeting with a for sale by owner. It could be meeting with an expired listing. You could be, just for a family member. Like, how do you present yourself when you go to a listing to do a presentation? It's not all about what the fluff is in the folder, so much as it is what your conversation is, how you connecting with these owners and helping them achieve their goal of selling their house and moving on, right? Taking their investments, maybe reinvesting in them, those type of conversations. So anyway, I want to start by asking you guys to give me a little energy. Tell me what it is specifically that you want me to address, and I'll write that down. What do you need to know? What kind of paperwork, what kind of conversation we have, what we doing?
I would say paperwork.
You say paperwork? All right, so you want to know what kind of documents to take. We'll write that down. Anybody else?
How to put the listing together, like on the FMLS, when we do that, we'll start with that.
Uploading docs, is that what you mean? Or are you just talking about
like getting it live? Like the steps to take, like getting the actual listing live after you've done the listing.
The data, okay, creating a listing.
Yeah.
Creating a listing, okay. Which would include uploading your document.
Right.
Okay, anyone else? Let's see what they said online. Y'all know I can't see. Y'all should have been in class. The conversation opener is what Katrina is asking. And again, that depends on what type of lead it is that you're following up with. If it's your friend and family, it's going to be a whole different way. Presentation. So Giselle, you mean the overcome? Oh my God, do you know this could be like a 10-part series on listing presentations? Overcoming objection, because your objections from a FSBO is going to be quite different from an objection on an expired listing. So we're going to work from one angle today. So maybe we'll work from an angle of come list me, okay? Come list me. That means somebody found you on realtor.com, somebody referred you, somebody saw your card out somewhere, and they said, hey, I met you, I talked to you, I picked your card up, and listen, I need to sell my house, and I need to sell it right away. So we're going to try and come from that angle, because otherwise we'll be all over the place, but we do need to discuss objection handlers, and maybe we can use some time at the end to go over some of those. How about that? For you guys who did not come to class, here's some of the documents that I had left behind. So let's just start with the conversation opener. So you come in, this is such an interesting thing, because you can come in so many different ways. So let me just tell you a little bit about me real quick. I may be a little nervous here because I don't teach classes that often, but I'm a talker, so I'll work it out. When you go into your listing appointment, you never know how the seller is going to be there to receive you. You don't know if they are prepared to meet you at the table, which that's what we're trying to do, is meet the sellers at the table, go through the front door. But I cannot tell you how many times we actually go through the garage, or we stand in the middle of the tenant occupied home and their house is a wreck, or there's no furniture, it's just a vacant home. Like, what do you do? right? So it could come from all different kind of angles. So if we just focus on like preparing preparing ourselves for the actual conversation, like what is it that what their goals are, what they're trying to achieve, then that will help us zero in on preparing the correct documents, okay? But there are no two listings that are just alike, just like there are no two sales that are just alike. You got it? All right. Anybody got any listings coming up outside of Kelly Rose? No other listings? Okay. So Kelly, let's use you for example. Thank you. Okay, this will give me something to do. Kelly's got a listing coming up in the Decula School District. And what city is it in?
Auburn,
Auburn. And you got this referral
through a friend of mine.
through a friend of yours, which we could actually say, oh, okay, this is easy. I don't have to do anything
Right.
extra because this was mine, it's in the bag, right? I don't have to do anything, right? But you don't want to do that because what you want to do once you present to her is expect what? In the future,
More referral.
you want referral. So you want to treat even your friends and family just like this is a referral opportunity for you. So it's not just a one transaction. I spent many years thinking everybody was just a one transaction. That was me. Just one transaction, close and go, right? But every person that you close is an opportunity for future business. So you want to treat them as delicately as you would a stranger that just called you off the internet. Got it? All right. So people say, well, what do you take when you go to a listing appointment? Well, I was working with Iris on that this morning. And this is something that I didn't have available to share, but I wanted to start by telling you, first of all, you Google the address. That is a must. Google the address. Why do I say Google the address?
So you know how to get there. So you
Okay.
can see, like Google Maps. like, so you can
Someone
see-
said, so you know how to get there. What else?
Like, so you can see what the house looks like from the outside.
That's right. You can see what the house looks like from the outside. And what else? You can do an aerial view. There you go. You can do an aerial view and you kind of geographically know where it is on a broader scale, okay? And then you want to know if this is a neighborhood that you want to work in. It's like, or you need to know how to prepare yourself when you come in, right? What do they have tractor trailers parked in the cul-de-sac next door to your listing? You know what I mean? So you want to just kind of get a general sense of what the area looks like, what the community looks like, you know, if they're taking care of the community. So that's the first step. I Google the address. Okay, let's get familiar with the neighborhood that way. 2, I'm going to look up the property on Georgia MLS and FMLS. I want to know if it's been listed before. Why is that important? See if somebody murdered that. That's so crazy.
So you can anticipate some of those objections, possibly.
If it was listed before, right, to anticipate some objection, maybe it was an expired listing.
Right.
Okay. What other reason do we want to look it up on Georgia MLS? Hmm. Price, okay. So there's a number of things you can find out. You can find out when it was last sold, how much it was last sold for, right? You can see if it was previously listed as a rental, right? Why would that be good information for you? Right? You could tell they've been dealing with a tenant for the last 2 years since 2020 and they tired, okay? They ready to sell, they want to cash out and go, okay? So you look up that and then you also want to make sure that it's not an active listing. You want to make sure it's not an active listing and then they just got sick and tired of their agent and thought they were just going to get by, call you and tell you to come list it because they don't like working with their agent anymore, okay? It could be one of those scenarios very easily, but you want to make sure you cover your butt and just check it and make sure it's not an active listing, all right? So we talked about number 1, Google the address. Number 2, look up the property on Georgia MLS and FMLS, right? Number 3 is print out your tax records. Now I use CRS in Georgia MLS. It's easy to read. It gives me the information I need. I'm looking for the owner's name, year built, square footage, beds, bath. Also looking to see if they had previous foreclosure activity. Right? Are they struggling to pay in the past or now? It'll have those records. All right. You can also see if it's on public water or sewer, or if it's in a flood zone. Right? What else can you find on the tax records? I'm gonna tell y'all, you can tell if they're absentee owners. Do they live there? Or do they live somewhere else? That's what absentee owner, I have a separate, a different address than the actual property address. It doesn't necessarily mean it was a rental. It could have been a vacation home, their mother's house, or whatever, which technically is a rental, but you know, it's just the mother. But just for the purpose of this class, it's just, you know, a property that they don't live in. That's called an absentee owner. Okay. Now, here's the other thing too. Keep in mind the tax records could be incorrect, but you definitely want to make sure if the county has specific conditions noted on the tax records, right? Then that's a conversation you need to have about, have with the seller. All right.
What do you mean by, I'm sorry, what do you mean by specific conditions?
If it says that it's on septic, sometimes it'll say that in the tax record, then that's a conversation you need to have with the seller. And they say, no, we put it on public sewer a few years ago, and we paid for that connection, right? Or it may say that it has 3 bedrooms, but it's actually 4 bedrooms. So you want to make sure that the information that you have on the tax records is in alignment with what the property has for sale. In your packet, for example, go to like the 3rd page. This is a property that I just listed at 4055 Winfern Court. I keep saying Woodfern, but it's Woodfin. Now, here's the thing. This property really, just kind of caught me off guard. I'm looking at the tax records. The tax records on page 3, I'm looking, it says sewer source, it's blank, water source, it's blank. This is in DeKalb County. It's not out in the sticks, it's DeKalb County. So I'm automatically assuming this is on public water, public sewer, right? Because DeKalb County, it's not in a rural area, right? So I go there to the listing appointment, and lo and behold, I find out by having one of Keller Williams documents filled out, which, we'll talk about the documents that you take on your listing appointment. One of the documents they filled out was a KW water sewer form, and it told me that it is on septic. Well, like the tax records didn't say they were on septic. Now you see why Keller Williams asked for that form to be signed. What if you sold a house, you're with another company, they don't have this same septic letter, verification. You go out there, they say, hey, we haven't lived in this house in 30 years, right? Which they haven't, these clients of mine. Well, we say, well, you haven't lived there, so we don't require a seller's disclosure to be filled out. Okay, fast forward, you go into inspection or closing, and now the buyer's thinking you've been withholding information from them. They find out that the house is literally on the septic tank. You got it? So it's essential that you have that document filled out, and we'll go over that too. Okay, so don't trust all the information on the tax records, is what I'm saying. Don't trust it all. They may even have the square footage wrong, right? So where would you get the square footage information? From the seller. Like, there's no way that you'll know that, because that's not our area of expertise. You can also get it from the appraisal report. If they had one previously when they purchased this house, which I'm sure they did, it's a good chance they did at least, then you can get the square footage from any appraisal reports that they may have had on the property before. You got it? All right. So we talked about the tax records. Any questions so far out there? What packing out? I'll get one to you at least.
With the square footage, I actually just left the showing. It was a house that's been renovated.
Mhm.
The square footage is not in the, well, the old square footage is in the listings. They did some conditions. I checked the tax record this morning. The new square footage is not in the tax record, it's the old. And no one seems to know what the square footage is, the current square footage based upon the recent renovation. So how would we, what do we do? And the buyer has a lot of questions, of course, about things that I can't provide answers to because no one seems to have it.
Well, generally generally, the appraiser will be able to identify the square footage. So are they getting a financing?
It would be funded.
Yeah, the appraiser will give them the actual square footage. Now, it's just a matter of the county being updated. That is, if they got an actual permit to do the improvements and add on like that, then they update that county with the newest information. But it's just a gap in data entry, okay? And that can happen on some of these listings too. You know, you go pull up the tax records, they'll have their name on it. I had a young lady that wanted me to come list her house. And unfortunately, she had quit claimed her property over to somebody in exchange for him doing some work at her house. It was a very sad thing. So I couldn't sell her house because she had deeded it over to someone else, unbeknown to her. She just thought she would, anyway, it's a long story, but she just thought she was signing some paperwork for him to do some work for her. She was a senior citizen and she literally signed a quit claim over to him. Yeah.
Wow.
There's other things out there going on too that you have to be mindful of. There's like these silent liens on the property, or you know, investors that have you know, interest in the property by having these sellers sign other documents, you know, like, hey, I'll give you $500 if you promise to in the future allow me to be your listing agent on your property. Right, so they'll put an actual lien on the property, and when they go to sell it, and they have to pay that agent, I think it's 2 or 3%. It's been about a year ago that I ran into that situation where they have to pay that guy money in order for them to get, you know, to sell it. Either use them or pay them. So you want to say something?
Yeah, what about, I remember years ago, now this was prior to me being in real estate, I think I was with my good friend at the time in DeKalb County,
Okay.
and she had filed a lien on one of her properties. No, I don't want to get confused. There, I think she was releasing a lien. I think she was releasing a lien for some work that was done, but my primary question was, when someone goes down and let's say it's a contractor, puts a lien on your property.
A mechanic's lien,
For not paying. They're not going through, you may not even know what's going on. Like, how are they proving to the courts that they are owed this money for a lien to be filed? Because there's no court date for the actual homeowner.
Now, I don't know that part there, but I would assume they take a bill and show where they made demand for payment with proof of certified mail or something like that. And if they did not pay them and they had signed contract that they owe them a debt, then yes, they'll allow them to put a mechanic's lien on that. But that, again, it's not my area of expertise, but if they can prove where they owe the debt, then yes. So you can have IRS liens, you can have mechanics liens, you can have credit cards, student loan liens. I had one guy, oh my God, it's a for sale by owner. I was following up with them. As it turns out, his family member just told me that they finally got a buyer for the house, but they couldn't sell it because he had $30,000 student loan lien on his house from his stepdaughter. It wasn't. So anyway, on to the next part here. So we're talking about tax records. Now, I'm going to tell you something too. If you have any questions about title, please just email Carlton. He is great. He's a great source of information. Okay. If you just have any questions, if they just kind of disclosing to you like, hey, my mom passed, I know my name was on it, don't know what to do, my brother's name was on it, you know, we don't know where he is, whatever, you can just go ahead and ask Carlton. He'll give you some legal advice or legal direction to go. Okay. Now, let's go to this seller lead sheet, and I am going to have these documents ready for you guys to pick up, or Deanna will. So we talked about a seller lead sheet. Now, it doesn't have to be anything formal, like for real, like nothing formal. There's several of them out there. Okay, here's one. The one that I use is this right here. Okay, y'all see that? So basically, I'm just gonna go over this with you guys, right? So I got a lead, somebody called me, Dana, come list me, come list me. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm on my way. But first, I'm gonna fill this out. We talked to Jane Doe, here's her phone number. Where did I get her from? She called me because she saw me on realtor.com. I put her email address in there, the date that she called me, the address and the zip code of the property. And then I run, okay? Where am I running to first? I told you guys we're gonna first off, Google it, right? Then we're gonna look up the property on Georgia MLS. Write down the previous MLS numbers too, right? Write them down, right? That way you can get some photos. You can kind of see what it used to look like or what it, could look like. So I write it down. So I put that in. I put the year built, square footage, what the mortgage company, who the mortgage company is, the payoff, and if they've had any modifications. Now, this modification, this one right here is a huge question. Like, I promise you, this is a huge question. Because back in the day, everybody was doing modification. They were like, hey, I'll sign whatever to get my payment down. I'm gonna sign whatever you put in front of me to get my payment down. And somehow or another, they completely forget the second lien, which is called a silent second. All right, anybody ever had that issue before? You're going through your closing process and all of a sudden they said the second mortgage balance is such and such. We need authorization to get that information. We're like, wait, hold on, what second mortgage? That's happened to me a few times. That happened to you, Maureen?
So, when I go back to the property taxes, I on MLS, when they bought the house, it was 3 bedrooms.
Mhm.
And then they renovated the house. 5 bedroom. and 3 bath.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish my thought here with this second mortgage, okay? So anyway, so there's a company out there called Novad. Y'all write this down, Novad, Novad Consulting. They house, if not all, most of those silent second mortgages. So when people got those modifications, they're holding them in a silent mortgage, okay? So basically, here's the deal. So they had a house that was 100, I'm using easy numbers, 150,000. They're getting to where they can't manage these payments. The market is crashing. They're going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? So they need help, okay? Help comes through and says, hey, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a chunk of your balance. Like, well, first of all, what payment would you feel comfortable with? They give them a payment. We're gonna take a chunk of your existing balance and we're gonna put it way over here. It's gonna be sitting tight for you, right? So whenever you sell it, refinance it or whatever, you can just pay us then, right? So it allowed people to have lower payments, but this money is still owed over here. It didn't just disappear. So a lot of people sound surprised. I didn't know. Well, they didn't just reduce your payment just because they were being friendly, right? They put that money over there for a later date, which is still a gift, right? That's still a good thing. They helped you out when you needed help.
So it's not a refinance?
No, it's not a refinance.
It's not a refinance.
Which I think a lot of us thought it was until we started going out, like selling these houses. Like, wait a minute, y'all put a second lien on these people's house? Yes. And of course, we talked to the seller about it. They didn't know that that's what they were signing, right? They didn't know.
What's the name of it? What's the name?
Novad Consulting, N-O-V-A-D. Just keep it in your data bank so that way if it ever comes up, you'll know who to call. And now, mind you, the closing attorneys will give you that information too. If it's not Novad, they'll give you the name of whoever it is that's holding that silent second, right? But here's the problem. You got to make sure there's enough equity to pay it off, right? You got to make sure there's enough equity at closing for them to move to their next location. Maybe they had planned to use all of that money to put down on their next house, right? So you want to make sure that when they say that make sure you ask the question if they ever had a modification, okay? And do your research for them, with them, or send them to Novad, but they need to find out if what the balance is on that silent second mortgage. Y'all got it?
Quick question. The BK/PG net.
I'm getting ready to go over there.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, oh no, I wasn't even gonna go over there because that was on the top line. So if you get a copy of this form, like y'all will see that I use acronyms for like everything, right? So it says subdivision, SUV, and it says BK and PG, right? The other part that other reason I use this form right here is that it helps me when I do my data entry into MLS, which is what you asked for. So I extract all the information from the tax records, right? I extract all my information from the tax records, right? You'll find the deed book and page number right here at the bottom right. All right.
And you always go with the most recent one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I put the deed book and page number on here. So that way I don't have to go toggling back and forth between all these pages when it's time for me to do some data entry to put my listing in, okay? Does that sound like something makes sense? Okay. All right. So this is an old form, so I got a lot of room for notes, but this is a great area for you to make notes as you're walking through the property, like upgraded bath, new water heater, you know what I mean? Pool liner installed, such and such a date, right? And here's another thing, because I'm all over the place. I know I am. But I go into my listing appointment with a clipboard, right? I had to make sure it didn't say Amber on the back, because you never know what goes on in my world. But anyway, go into your listing appointment with a clipboard. Be ready. They love that. Okay, it's impressive. And that sheet also, I call it my yellow sheet. I print it out in yellow and it stays on the top page, right? It stays on the top page of my presentation. So when I come in with a clipboard, my yellow sheet, right? And it's generally on the outside and I've clipped it, got my pen, we ready to take some notes, right? We came ready, badge on, we ready to, action. We ready to get some things done. Lights, camera, action is what I would say. All right, so let me go through this one because y'all got me all over the place. I'm ADD. So back to this steps to preparing your listing appointment, okay? We're gonna complete the seller lead sheet to assist us in doing the data entry, okay? And then we're gonna do a CMA. Now, this is the thing that gets me. There's so many platforms that you can do a CMA on. Okay, can y'all call them out for me? I'm gonna write them down. Y'all gotta know this.
GMLS.
GAMLS, okay? What else? Where else? Anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna give y'all.
An FMLS as well.
NARPR.
ARP.
National Association of Realtors or something like that, okay? Then you got an FMLS and MLS. You have the cloud CMA, right? Then within MLS, you have a CMA, right? Then in FMLS, you got their own separate CMA. Matter of fact, they even have what you call a quick CMA, which I love. I love it, right? Sound like fluff. Don't give me the fluff, just give me the business, right? I don't like fluff. Like the cloud CMA is cool, but it's a lot of fluff, a lot of pages, there's a lot of all this extra stuff that really people don't want you in their house that long going over it, right? So you want to get straight to the meat of it. We also have one in CRS. Did y'all know y'all have a CMA option in CRS, which is tax record? Now, I don't use Realist that often, but I'm sure Realist does too. And Realist is the taxes from FMLS.
Realist is probably good for national, right? Because I know I had like a lot of out of town family asking about their values and and they're like, I'm looking on Zillow, but of course, all the other FMLS and MLS, that's for Georgia. So I think Realist is for everywhere, every state.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I don't know, I don't work out of state, so, but that one in Find, something about Find and FMLS you can reference too.
Okay.
All right. Those are just a few. I'm sure there's many more out there, right? Find one and make it yours, because Todd went back and forth between them all, which just add a whole lot of confusion. There are multiple pages in each one of these. You can select what pages you want. You want 5 of the 27, you want 2 of the 27, add that to your package, however you want to do it, but do a CMA. Now, what is it about the CMA, right? These sellers already know what they think their house can sell for. They got an idea in their brain already. They just want you to come in and just confirm what they're already thinking. Would y'all agree with me on that? I need somebody to read these comments for me. Okay, so anyway, so you get all these different options here, but like I said, just make one your own, okay? Oh, I forgot one. Guess where it's found? This is Remind. I like Remind. Very simple. Very simple. I had a folder, a black folder. Oh, here it is. But Remind is a good place, and we'll go over that. I'll go over page by page what I have in my folder. But I really do need somebody to read these comments to me because I can't read and teach at the same time. It's always cold in here. Okie doke. So we talked about the seller lead sheet. We talked about doing a CMA. So from the top, Google the address, look at the property on Georgia MLS and FMLS, print out the tax records, create a seller lead sheet, design your own. Alicia has a great one, okay? If you guys are in PC, she has one in Capper Academy. So y'all want to reference that one also. It has a lot of information on there. There's another thing too. After I create the seller lead sheet, I'll talk to y'all about that later. We talked about the CMA, or what we call the equity analysis now. Now, here's the thing that I think a lot of people skip over, and that is creating a seller net sheet when they go. And this is a GAR form. It is located in your GAR packages, right? Whether you use Transaction Desk, Remind, DocuSign, Dotloop, right? Whatever your preference is. Of course, we're all hoping you guys using DocuSign, right? You go in there and you create a seller net sheet.
I love that loop. I'm sorry. I love that loop.
That was not me, okay? That was Ruth, Miss Ruth Page, okay? We got some people that just won't let go, okay? I'm one of them too. All right, thank you, Marie. At any rate, find your GAR form. Now, what you can do in this net sheet, right, is that it'll calculate the numbers for you. You put the price in there, that loan balance, calculate their interest per day. That part you have to do manually. Plug in the actual number, plug in your commission, and at the bottom, it will actually give you a number. Now, what I have done in the past, which y'all just reminded me, I forgot to do this on my last one, I'll have the seller sign that. Like, I'll put an initial area at the bottom, right, in the signing section. Y'all gonna initial this because this is what we discussed that you're gonna walk away with at closing. All right, that is a good move to make, right? So that way you say, no, sir, we talked about this. We're gonna get you $200,000. That's what you're gonna walk away from the closing table with. You was fine. So no, don't come crying. That's 210, 215. You get more than what you had anticipated. Matter of fact, give me some of that, right? Wish there was a way, right? But anyway, so have them get familiar with this net sheet, and that because people get caught up on the price. The price is ego driven, right? The price has nothing to do with what they're going to walk away from the closing table with. It's completely ego driven because they're going to advertise the house for $460,000, right? That price right there makes them feel good because they bought it for $230,000, right? So you want to have a conversation more about this net sheet, right? And what you're going to walk away from the table with. Let's look at this number, right? Because you know, if you get this price at $460,000 and asking for $10,000 in closing costs, and they're asking for a new, pool liner and all this other stuff, then that price means nothing. You're going to be walking away with a whole lot less, right? So you want to make sure you focus on the net. Y'all get that? Okay, I need everybody to practice doing one. Can y'all promise me y'all do that? No?
Yeah.
You said there's one in DocuSign already?
Yes, one in DocuSign, seller net sheet.
It's just called seller net.
Net to seller estimate.
And it's under GAR in the GAR form.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, one of the things is my coach had told me, I think it's a good idea, and I'm gonna pass this on to you guys, is that she told me to call a few of my friends and actually ask them if you can do a listing presentation for them, right? Not that they're gonna sell their house necessarily, but you wanna, practice your new, I guess, presentation. You've updated your presentation and you need somebody to rehearse it in front of. Now, what she told me also, and it did work, I got a listing out of it, right? Got one of my old friends, like, look, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna do this the right way. I'm gonna show up on time. I'm gonna show up with my lockbox, okay? Don't forget, take your lockbox on your listing appointment. We're gonna make sure we go over these documents carefully, right? We're gonna ask for their opinion. We're gonna ask what did they like, what they didn't like. We're gonna thank them, and we're gonna leave on time, right? We're gonna be on the time clock as if we were actually doing a true listing appointment, not sitting around chit-chatting. We're just gonna go in there and give our business. Now, what's amazing is that when you do that, it's just kind of like you activating the universe, right? Now, all of a sudden, you're getting calls from other people, right? Maybe this client right here will refer you, or this friend will refer you to someone else because they see you taking your business seriously, right? You show up with your badge on, your car is clean, you know what I mean? On the outside, at least. And, those things like that. So just, rehearse. That's very important because the day is coming. As long as you asking for it, it will be given to you, but you gotta be ready when you get it. We're not gonna just sit here on idle and wait for that day that somebody calls me and I got a listing appointment, right? In the middle of your for sale by owner calls, right? You wanna get familiar with these contracts. You wanna get familiar with what you need to present to them when you go out, okay? Now, this is the listing packet. This is my listing packet. It's just a bunch of fluff, right? With an ink pen. Okay. On this one side, I've got vendor information. It's gonna have moving company. It's gonna have the home warranty company. I'm gonna even have a checklist from my photographer. Next door photos is so awesome. Let me tell you, you just order it online. You don't even have to talk to anybody. $125 for 35 pictures. Something like that. But they give you a whole checklist. This is nice to have in there. So you're telling your client to be prepared for the photographer. Cleaning service. We have an agent here in our office. She does cleaning services. Miss Jones, Miss James, they do cleaning services. So they'll do that for your vacant homes, your sellers moving out. I got a lot of aging clients right now who need to sell. They need help, okay? They need help dusting out the countertops, putting things up. Superior Plumbing, BJ&J. You know what I mean? Support the family. You know, at least tell them, hey, when's the last time you had your HVAC service? If you haven't, they'll do it for $99. I believe it's $99. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So this is the packet that you give to the seller?
Yeah, this is just on one side.
Okay.
Okay, and then in here is, I want them to share their thoughts. I think I had this in the package for you. What have you determined, just some questions, what have you determined to be the best directions to your house? Let me tell you, okay, I'm gonna go on a tangent right here. I know we all have the habit of putting use GPS in our listings. You see them all the time on your buyer record. How about you got use GPS and the school says other. Now you don't know where you are in 30032. You don't know where you are. Am I right? So we want to make sure that we ask for those directions. We might put GPS in there, right? But how about we might need them, right? Or maybe we need to discuss it with somebody else who calls, right? So, but don't take that lightly, the giving directions, because I know it's just a habit that we just put use GPS in there. But how about when their phone goes dead?
That's a good point, or not working. I think that's a lot.
But look, you know what?
Now,
If their phone goes dead, they can't even get in the lockbox anyway. Now that I think about it. So anyway, keep your phones charged on that though. See, y'all just got to jog about memory here. Anyway, then the other one I have in here is just some to-dos, like your yard work, your exterior, your general interior, bathrooms and things like that, right? That's just my fluff on that side, okay? On the other side, it's gonna have information about me, my hours, my broker, my assistant broker, right? I work Monday through Friday, 8 to 6. I don't work on the weekends, unless I want to. I don't work on Saturday nor Sunday. I'm dead to the world. Some of y'all might have heard me say that. I'm so dead on Sundays, I don't even know what I do for a living, okay? So Monday I come in here, and Iris knows it, come in here growling, because I don't know what's been going on in the last 2 days. But that's just my day I take off, okay? If you have young children or anything, and you know, I just advise you all to take it 1 day a week off for yourself. You gotta take care of yourself, okay? And
I'm following this when I know they have to out on Sunday, shower Sunday. Especially now, I know it's slowed down just a little bit, you know, when the interest rates start settling in, spiked up. But really this past year and a half, 2 years, it's like been chaotic on the weekend. Has that affected you with any of your clients when you say, well, I'm not available on Sunday, and a lot of them, only time they are available for showing because they work at 9 to 5 is Saturday and Sunday?
so if I have to show one house and we leave in gymnastics on a Saturday, I'll show one house, but I'm not doing like a scheduled showing. Otherwise, I use keys, please. Key, please. I say it
Oh,
wrong all
that's
the
the
time.
service where you can have another agent.
$25, $35. Go show that house over there in 300, what is it? 30331 South Fulton, right? I'm not, no. There's plenty of people that would show it. I mean, you put something on keys, please. It's picked up in like 15 minutes at the most. Okay.
Keys, please.
Key, please.
Well,
KURPLEAC.
And that's another,
AZ.
PLEAZ.
And if you wanted to pick up showings to do for other agents, you could do that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody need
But
key
I think
please.
my teammates-
On this,
Yeah.
So here's a couple of my CMAs. This is the quick CMA that I love, right? So I don't need the fluff, right? My clients might need the fluff. I'm gonna give them a little bit, but this is what I need, right? This is that quick CMA on FMLS. Oh, okay, so what you do is go in and FMLS, it's a whole nother class. I advise you to go to FMLS YouTube channel, and you can learn all you need to know about the FMLS platform, okay? Gonna get you some free CE too, okay? So, but anyway, I do a quick CMA because I just want a really quick overview about what's going on in the neighborhood. It's the same listing, right? They give you an average sales price, minimum, maximum, how many closed, how many are active, right? How many are under contract if I chose that, but I just chose active and closed because I want to see what's popping right now, what's going on right now, okay? So I use this to kind of gauge, like, where can I go? It has the square footage on here, the number of bedrooms on here. If you guys out there, just go to FMLS, put in a address, radius, and look up active and sold, okay? Go to your list, and at the bottom, we'll go to your list, click select all, and at the bottom, click quick CMA. All right, and it'll print out this right here. Now, because some of us like fluff, I go to Remind and do CMA and Remind. It is only about 4 or 5 pages in here. That's all I need, right? I don't need the analysis of the paralysis. It's like, you know what I mean? Now, if they want some more, I'm gonna email them some more, but this is paper. I'm not trying to print out a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it prints this pretty little first cover page, right? Some cute stuff on it. And then it kind of gives you a couple of values here. I put my glasses on. Give you a couple of different values from, you know, third parties, right? But then it tells you here the average list price is $246, average sold price is $258. We listed the property at $235. We got an offer of $250. All right, conventional even. We went on a contract like 3 days. This is Remind 360 is what they call it. This property right here was listed at $259.9. I thought, oh my God, how was that listed at $259.9? That is too high. Well, now they've reduced the price to $235 since this weekend. Okay, I knew that was too high. But it gives you all the information you need to have a discussion with the seller about their goals, right? Just have a discussion. All right. You get to see the pictures on here. I made notes, no upgrades. Only one bathroom upgrade. I went and saw another picture and said, okay, there was no upgrades throughout the house, but it was one in the bathroom, okay? These are the pages that you need in order to have a conversation with the client. All right, I'm gonna put this down and go grab my little packet of what I'm working with when I go in, okay?
Do you have one slide? I don't know if graphic.
What?
Listen packet, how you have.
Oh yeah, I can share it with you guys. No problem, not a problem at all. All right, so where do I get these from?
Dollar Tree.
Nope. Office Depot, Staples. I love it because it's got this hook right here. When you drop your papers, because that's what we do as real estate agents, we drop files and they fall apart, right? Well, not with this one, okay? It's got a little clip right there. The other thing about this, you can drive, use it as a dry erase platform, okay? So I got my yellow sheet. That's what I call it, my yellow sheet. I'm on my appointment. I got my tax records. Matter of fact, y'all look at this. She called me when I was out and about and I had a little piece of paper. I wrote my notes on because I'm a doodler. Anybody else in here a doodler? Okay, I'm a doodler. You calling me while I'm out and I can't get to my notes, right? So I'm grabbing the first piece of paper I can get my hands on, right? So now I tag it back on the back of my yellow sheet just in case I transpose some information, transpose phone numbers or something like that, okay? If I do that, okay.
They got doodler pads too, I think, all time to go for your car. it was really good for people, that was out shopping, looking for homes, like wholesalers and stuff.
Yeah,
So it's like, how you got the phone thing not set up, it's not for paper, so, you call, it's like, okay, hold on, just add it off.
right. And I use Google Keep for that too. I might be out, use Google Keep, take a picture of the sale by owner sign and put the address in the notes or whatever, and then remind myself to look at Google Keep while I'm out. So anyway, so that yellow sheet is in my folder. These are already executed documents, so I'm not gonna show you that one. All right. All right, so that's their folder, the black folder. This is my folder, the yellow sheet, and underneath it is a package of blank contracts, no address on them. Can you tell me why I don't put an address on these? 'Cause I don't believe in wasting paper, right? What if they don't want to make a decision right now, right? What if they're saying, hey, I just wanted to gather some information, which, I know the goal is to get them to sign the first time you go out there, but Ruth, do you find that to be true all the time when you go on a listing appointment?
Yeah.
You do?
Honestly.
Oh, well,
That's because, we've already discussed and all of that prior, usually before I run out there anyway. I'm like big on not wasting my time.
okay. And so this is where I'm good at relationships. So I'll go out and meet and greet them. I want to make sure that they're digging me and I'm digging them. They show me around the house. We establish some, rapport with one another. Oh, you got kids, I got kids, you got dogs, I got dogs, whatever it's going to be. You creating an environment where they feel comfortable working with you. They may sign, and what we're going to do, we're going to fill these out.
Now, when I
Okay.
get to a point where I'm actually going on appointments for people that haven't called me in the first place, that I'm, farming for, then of course they're probably interviewing other agents as well too, so they may not sign. But
There you go.
most time when I'm going out, they've already reached out to me anyway.
Right. So, but on these forms, my information is filled out. Okay, I just make copies of this, but their information is not filled out. And it's okay, because if they call me and say, Dana, I talked to my husband, I talked to my brother, sister, cousin, and we're all okay with moving forward. Okay, good. Guess what I'm getting ready to do? E-sign. Right, we're doing DocuSign. They're ready to do DocuSign. They met me, they decided they like me, they like the numbers. They're saying, hey, what's next? What's next is here's the documents. I'm going to send you several documents. And if you look at this page again, what time is it? Is that clock right?
150.
Okay. So I'm going to send the seller a listing agreement. If the house is built before 1978, what we sending? Lead-based paint. If they're located in an association and a subdivision,
So it's for
the CAD, okay, the Community Association Disclosure. If they're in DeKalb County and they're built before 1993,
plumbing, the water
Plumbing.
plumbing.
plumbing exhibit. And what is that for?
It's related to fixtures or something, right?
Low flow plumbing. Yeah, they're required to have low flow plumbing fixtures when they transfer title in DeKalb County. I don't know. The question is, why was it only in DeKalb? I don't know. They petty like that. No, I'm just kidding, but no. They saving our water for our future generation. I'm sorry, say that again.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna also send, it's 7 documents, remember, lucky 7, okay? Have that etched in your mind, lucky 7, you need 7 documents right here. Anything extra, you can always come back and get, but we're gonna do lucky 7 right now, right? Listing agreement, lead-based paint, community association disclosure, DeKalb plumbing, and your KW docs. Water sewer, which we talked about why, right? We talked about why they put that in there. It's necessary on every listing. Don't get red flagged, unnecessarily, because they will flag you and then you gotta go back to the seller and be like, I got one more document for you to sign, right? Or 2, if you didn't get the wire fraud sign, right? I don't know if that's necessarily required on listings, but I know it's required on buyers, but I get it wherever I go, okay? Well, it doesn't hurt to get the seller to sign it, right? So I have everybody sign. And then lastly, the lucky number 7 is your net sheet. Okay. And what else? Marketing plan. My goodness, I almost forgot about the whole marketing plan. You want to create a marketing plan, which includes signage, social media, sphere of influence. What are you going to do as far as open houses, which you can do on Keys Please, or you can request on Keys Please also.
Open house.
Open house, right? Just listed, just sold cards. You're gonna put it on the website, do door knocking, have it appear on realtor.com, circle prospecting, flyers, Zillow, lot boxes.
Do you know if it can be flipped? So like, I have a junior agent and I've been keep encouraging her to see if other agents need open houses. That's something she can get from the Keys Please, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't think she knew.
Yes, yeah. So make sure you have a strong marketing plan. That is a whole nother class in itself, okay? All right, so just make sure you guys have a strong marketing plan. You can Google one. You can ask some of the top producers, what are their marketing plan? It sounds so technical, but baby, when I tell you FMLS and Georgia MLS already did half the work for you with their platform, and all these listings appear everywhere. You can be searching in Montana somewhere for houses for sale in Atlanta. It'll appear everywhere, okay? So syndicated listing, that's the word I was looking for. So it's syndicated everywhere. Like we can say homes.com, we can say realtor.com, but it is everywhere, okay? All right, so now, is there any other question? I think I covered everything that I had planned to cover.
I have a quick clarification. For the documents you said water, sewer, can you describe what that is again?
Water sewer, they just want to make sure that the seller gives them the correct information, whether it's on public water or public sewer.
Oh, okay.
That should be enclosed in your packet of information. Now, as far as your conversation and your objection handlers, I mean, literally, that is a whole class in itself. And I'm not signing up for those classes. I'm just kidding. I'd be glad to talk to anybody about objection handlers, but I built my database on for sale by owners. That's what I did. My email address is for sale by Dana just for that reason, because I thought it was for sale by owners, for sale by Dana. And I used to do that a lot, and I stopped. And recently I had surgery, so I lost my voice, so I kind of just stopped making phone calls like I used to. But now I'm like, oh, they just got to deal with it. So we're going to get back on the phones like we used to. All right. And so objection handlers for sale by owners are so different from expires. I never even called an expired listing. Never, not unless it became a for sale by owner at some point now, and they just happen to be in my database. But you're going to have to, I'm glad you're here getting prepared. Like, what do you need to take with you on these listing appointments? But also remember, you got to focus on where you're going to get these listing appointments from, right? And what are you guys doing now to get those listing appointments, right? Farming. What does farming look like for you?
In my subdivision, doing door knocking, talking to my neighbors,
Right, meeting people, that is so essential. You know what I mean? You have got to add so many people to your database, and your coach, if you guys are in productivity, she'll tell you how many people you need to really add to your database in order for you to have X number of sales per year, right? Now that's a formula that I never was introduced to before I joined Keller Williams. You know, it was just like, I had 4 listing appointments a week. That was my goal. 4 listing appointments, or 4 appointments per week, whether it was a listing or a buyer. So this is a long time ago, right? And I had 2 on Saturday, 10 and 2. I called Monday is my office day, right? I told you I'm so dead to the world on Sunday. I don't know what I'm doing. So Monday is like literally office day. So on Monday, I make all my phone calls. Now I've been doing this like for real for like ever. And I sit up there and make my phone calls and plan out my week. Like, hey there, Barbara, we didn't find anything this weekend. I know he's out of town this weekend, whatever the situation was. I wanted to see if you want to go out this weekend. I got a couple of appointments available, 1 at 10 and 1 at 2. Which one works for you? That was my script every Monday. 1 at 10 and 1 at 2, which one works better for you? And they love it. They're like, oh, I'm working with a professional, right? It's like, they love it. But I'm going to tell you this, because I know we're running short of time now. People ask, take my time, take your time. So one of the questions I always ask people is, are you available during the day or nights and weekends only? And I started with that day part because it really catches their attention. Are you available during the week? They don't even care what the rest of the question is, because they're not already decided. Yes, they can come out Tuesday, they go and work late on Thursdays. You know what I mean? They off every Friday, whatever their situation is. I always ask that question. Are you available during the day, or are you just nights and weekends? Right? Can you see how that question alone would change your calendar. You're not struggling, trying to feed your kid and show houses. I've been there, trust me, right? I've been a single mom the whole time I've been in real estate, right? So, but it was scary for me when I said, I'm not working nights and weekends no more. Like, it was scary for me. I thought I was just getting ready to collapse and fall into the darkness of the earth, okay? Like, I really thought it was over for me. Like, sign me up for, for any kind of program, right? But really, I found that people really want to work with you in the daytime, right? They really do want to work with you in the daytime, and they will make themselves available to you in the day. They're trying to find a reason to get off of work or not go into work on time too. Or I go in at 11, maybe we can look at a couple of houses at, 9 or 10, okay? So don't just, limit yourself to just thinking, oh, they work like I used to work 9 to 5. They're not available, because I understand how that is. They're only available on nights and weekends like I was, right? We make a lot of assumptions based on our own personal experience. You get it? So if y'all could go for that, grit your teeth and jump on in. I'm sure it could work for you the same way it's worked for me. Any other questions? Any other questions? Out in video land, what are they asking? Okay. Could they hear me okay? Okay. All right. So anyway, to wrap this up, I can make copies. This is the only thing that Deanna didn't make copies of right here. Is this list of things to do when you get a listing. This package right here is stuff to get you prepared for your listing. So that one on the desk with this on front, this is what to get prepared for your listing. That's not anything to really leave with the seller. Okay. Except they got a net sheet in there. But the net sheet belongs to you and the seller. You want both for you because you want to know what you told them when you left. Okay. So if you gave them a net sheet, you want to make sure you got a copy of the net sheet in your folder also. Y'all see where that make a big difference? All right. All right, I'm done if y'all don't have any more questions.
What you say, you're gonna copy the Lucky 7?
This right here, yes.
Okay.
You can take this, make a copy of it.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you. I was really a nervous wreck, and y'all know that's not even my style, but thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. I do. All right, thanks.